Okay, I think we're up and running now. I see some notifications here. All right, so let's give that a go. We'll check it all out later. But yeah, another Friday is here. Hope everybody's had a good week. Mine, absolutely crazy. So busy this week. Go, 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 nonstop, nonstop. But made it through another week, just like most of you. For all of you that are looking at it on the live, thanks for taking the time to sit with me. Sorry for being a little late there. When I thought there was no technical difficulties, of course, you know, one jumped up. But the other thing is outside of that, is I had a little mishap, which is the main reason why I was late. The technical difficulty came after, and that was this time was I tried a new razor and I nipped my ear, shaving my head. So I had to wait till the blood stopped. I'm not going to sit here with a tissue on my head that just look awkward. Why am I telling you? I don't know. Why not? That's why I was late. Accountability. Uh, so with that, I do hope that some of you had the chance to. Let me turn on the comments here. I do hope some of you had the chance to go through that little exercise last week and kind of map out where you are. Right? We talked a lot about the money coming in, the income side of things, whatever's coming in, and how to understand where you are in regards to that. And you want to uh, know how much is coming in and how it's being distributed, so that way you can kind of change the circumstance and change the position that you're in. That's the end goal, the long term goal behind it, right? You got to make these small incremental changes that'll help you um, get to where it is you want to go, right? We all have this dream thing in our mind of where we want to be, the life we want to live, the things we want to do, experiences we want to have. But it's how do I get there? If all I'm doing is going to work day after day, work, 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 getting paid, paying the bills, it's nothing left. It's nothing left for me to do anything. So, in regards to that, for those of you that did it, good job. For those of you that didn't, it's never too late. You can do that anytime you want. Just because I'm suggesting it doesn't mean you have to do it. When you're ready to do it, you will. All I'm doing is showing you that there's an easy way to map that out so you can understand. When it comes to the second part to that was we just touched briefly on it was the debt, and I said that was a whole completely other conversation. So I had a couple people reach out to me throughout the week, and that they're asking me more questions about that. A couple different things that are going on out there in the world. One of them, which we talked about last week, is the amount of income that's coming in. Is it enough to do everything? Right. The quick breakdown that we did last week was based on somebody living in Toronto, right? Because I'm in Canada. I use those cost factors because I know those numbers by the top of my head. And it was like, okay, we got all of that, but there's hardly anything left. How am I going to tackle this debt that I've accumulated over X amount of time? Over the years, because it seems like all I keep doing is paying and paying and paying, but the debt's not going anywhere. It's still here. And when I say debt, I'm not talking about mortgage, right? Because mortgage was included in your monthly expenses. I'm talking about the consumer debt, credit cards, payday loans, department store cards, gas company cards, those kind of things. All of the small credit that you can get anywhere, payday loans, that sort of stuff. Payday loans are horrible. Those are like the worst. Um, as far I haven't had to use one of those, luckily, but I do know some people that have, and it put them in this constant loop, this constant cycle of as they get paid, the money goes back to them, and then they have to go back and get money again to live because there's no money left over. And it's a hard loop to get out of with a fixed amount of money and no secondary coming in to help bail you out. That's where managing the funds is super important. You need to better manage what's coming in. Once you can manage the stuff that's coming in, things can start to look a little bit brighter with a little bit of time, which we touched on this last week, right? It took you 5 years, 10 years, however long it took to get into that scenario, the situation. Uh, Now you wanna get out of it. Like I said, nobody's Thanos. It's not gonna go like that unless, you won the lottery, like, yeah, okay, you could just wipe them all out. But outside of that, you kinda gotta think about it for a second. You gotta understand where you are, understand what you're trying to get to. You gotta map it all out. You gotta make a plan. And keeping it here is difficult to remember when it's time to do things. Always work with a pen and a paper. As long as you can see it, as long as it's in front of you. Like me, I have whiteboards all over the place, right? If there's something I need to remember consistently, it'll go on a whiteboard because I walk past the whiteboards constantly, right? And I'll see it. And as long as you're seeing it, you're always gonna remember what it is. You can map out that plan. I mean, depending on if there's other people, traffic around, if you want to have that information visible. But you can always use a little notepad, right? Jot it all down. Open your computer, your laptop, and open Excel. Put it all in an Excel sheet like we did last week, and just align yourself with that, right? It's all about the numbers. Everything always comes back to the numbers and how you treat those numbers, right? But with that, and we talked a lot about that last week. Let's move on to this week. So this week's one of the questions was, how what am I going to do with this debt? So we had a little conversation, and one of the things that came out of that conversation was that, well, number one, you don't make enough money for it to disappear quickly. So you're going to have to invest the time, right? It's going to take time to get there, but it's completely possible to do so. It's not impossible. You can get out of it. It's going to take a little dedication, a little time. And once you have the plan in place and you're following the plan, the way that I suggest it is every time something happens, it becomes progressive. It's progressive, it's progressive, it's progressive. And what I mean by that is you see an improvement from every step that you take, right? The first thing you want to do, let's see if we can put up another screen here. Let's share. Let's share a screen. Sure. There we go. Let's share this one. All right. There we go. So again, as I said, I'll use Excel, so I don't have to really use a notepad, just because it's easier for me to map this out for you. So the first thing you want to do is you want to identify what it is that you got, right? So we'll say credit card one. Most people have two credit cards. Credit card two. Whoops. And let's just focus on that for the time being, right? We'll keep it super simple. You have two cards. Let's say one is $3,000. So this will be limit. This one is say $2,500. Let's say 2,000. Right? Now, mind you, they can be higher, but these are just examples that I'm using here. And then you want to look at how much is utilized. How much credit do you owe? So let's say this one's running at the top. We have 2,800. This one, let's say we're at, say it's the same thing, 1,800. Right? Here's our 5,000. Here's our 4,600. That's what we owe, $4,600 totals. That's how much credit we have. That's how much we owe. So right off the bat, if this becomes ongoing, revolving month after month, this is poor utilization of your credit. This is going to come back to the credit scores and stuff like that, and that's a whole different conversation right there. But living here, your credit score is important. right? Your credit score can impact where you live. A lot of places, I think just about everywhere now, you're they require a credit report for you to an apartment. You need a good credit score to get a good car loan to try to get to the top lenders where you get the lower interest rates. Your credit report, depending on what your job is, some jobs require you to do a credit report before you can work there. And I mean, and that's been in place for a long time. I've worked in the financial world a couple times throughout my career, and that's part of the recruitment process. You have to do a credit report, and they analyze the credit report, and it's a determining factor of you working there. Now, there's lots of reasons behind why, but we don't need to get into that. But your credit score is somewhat important when it comes to managing these, right? Because they're your credit cards, a lot of times they'll get overlooked. They're not set up in your fixed monthly expenses. Like other debt that's in your fixed monthly expenses is like your car loan is fixed, right? You're going to pay that same amount, same day, month after month until it's paid out. Your mortgage, same thing, same amount, month after month till it's done. Insurance, which isn't really debt, but same concept, month after month, same amount. And this here will not allow you to increase your credit score to be able to get more credit. You'd be stuck right here. And eventually, the longer it runs on running like this, I believe it's annual in most companies. When they review your account, they'll look at this and they will automatically drop your credit limit. So you can be at 2,800 here thinking, well, there's still 200 available. And you can wake up one morning and all of a sudden your limit is 1,500 and you're now 1,300 over. And when you're 1,300, when you're over the limit of your card, another fee gets tacked on every month, month after month after month. Now, if this is the situation, the first thing I would do, and this is just, some simple advice, simple steps to do, it'll take a little time. Call these companies, explain the situation, and see if you can get a reduced interest rate. Because remember, they'll work with you because they want to get their money back, right? But if you don't call, you don't know. You don't know this. Most people don't know that. You don't need a trustee or a firm or a finance firm or anybody else. You can make the calls yourself. You can call them. You can negotiate a lower interest rate. You can negotiate even a freeze of interest for a short period of time, which allows you to use that time to hammer this down, right? Now, if we go to we'll just go to credit card 1 here. So, in a lot of scenarios where the finances are tight, when and if it's paid at all, it's usually the minimum. When you pay the minimum on your credit card, the interest is like sometimes 90% of that minimum charge, and you're only putting 10% towards the principal amount owed, which is next to nothing. And that's how people feel like, well, all I keep doing is paying it month after month after month, and it's not going anywhere. If you've ever read the fine print in some of the agreements with some of these cards that you have, cards, loans, that sort of thing. I remember a while back, I was looking at they had a personal loan from one of the finance companies. So we were looking at the document, and the payment structure, paying the bare minimum outlined, worked out to, I think it was like 20 years to pay that debt off. And that's paying the bare minimum. And it was already a high interest loan. And through some quick calculations and looking at it, you ended up paying 5 times more than you borrowed. That would be your cost for borrowing it and treating it that way, right? If you're going to borrow money, use your credit cards, you should always have a strategy in place to pay it out, right? Doesn't really matter how you got there, you're here now. That's all that matters. This is the situation now. How I'm going to get out of the situation. That's the important thing. Nothing else matters. And don't let anybody talk down to you about it, or it doesn't really matter. If this is where you're at, identify where you're at and know where you want to go. You want to get out of it, right? You want to not have to pay that minimum. So, this now, once you fixed up the income, which was what we talked about last week, you'll know how much funds are left and how much can be distributed across these cards. So, with these two cards that you have, credit card one and credit card two, and just for namesake, we'll say that both of them are the same interest rate. So, if one had a higher interest rate, no, we'll say that credit card two has the higher interest rate. So that means that the debt grows faster on this one than on this one. So what you'd want to do as a plan is you want to figure out how you can pay this off. Now, let's not go into the technical side of the compounding interest that'll gather over the months. We'll just go this in I'll keep it super simple for you to understand. So let's say your minimum payment for this one is 100. Minimum payment for this one is 100. We're just using easy numbers so it's easy to follow. And you're doing that month after month, month after month, month after month, but only $10 of that is going to the actual payment. So at the end of month, so let's say January, January came, you paid your 1800, you paid your on your 2800, you paid 100. So you're down to 2700 here and you're down to 1,700 here, right? So we'll call this January. We'll call this February. You paid your 100s. Oops. Now comes the end of February. It's going to be 2,700 plus that interest charge, which is going to put you right back up to where you were minus your 10. So let's say you're now at 2710, right? 2790, and you're at 1790. That's how small the increments go. Now, mind you, you have to look at what the actual interest rates are to see that, but this is how it works. And that is how you get stuck in the credit card cycle by just sticking to the minimums. So, the easiest strategy to get out of it, to understand, to see progression as you're going, would be so. Let's say now here's our new plan, right? Let's use 1 year, right? So if we got 2,800 and divide that by 12 payments, right? This does not include interest. It's $233 a month, and that can go away in the course of 1 year, plus the interest. But this is just for example's sake. So that's 234. And if you continued to pay this at 100, at the end of year one, credit card one is gone, and credit card two is down to maybe $1,600. So then if you took year 2 and did this, which you'd be then paying less, right? Because then you're at 1,600 divided by 2. Oops, divided by 12. $133. But the difference now is now you have this amount to put towards it. So you have 334. So you're still going to spend the same amount and you'll end up paying it off faster. So that would be oops, 1,600 divided by 234. 7 payments. Again, that does not include interest. But that just gives you a rough idea of very simplistic plans to put in place to manage the cards and get the cards down. Once you get the cards down to a controllable amount, now in the midst of doing all this, you want to be monitoring your credit. You want to see where it's at. You want to know, how can I raise the score? How can I get it higher? Because the higher the score, the more credit you can get, right? If you get, you can call the credit card company yourself just by monitoring your score and knowing where it's at, because you can have these limits increased based on your credit score and your income. Most times your credit, if your credit score is good enough, they won't even look at your income, because there are a few factors in place with monitoring your with how they come to your credit score. Again, completely different conversation. But you can always research that online to show you how, and that it's it's not as complicated as you think. And a lot of people are just terrified to look into it. They think, well, I'm not a math person, I don't know numbers. This is no real math. This is basic math that's here. But once things are wrapped out on paper in front of you and you can see the process, that's when things will start to make sense. Once you start to see the changes happen and you start to see these values go down and your access to credit come up, now your question is, okay, well, should I use it? Now I have this free money. It's not free money because you still owe it. So control the usage, understand how to, the same way we talked last week about managing the money coming in, you have to learn to manage the credit as well and let it work in your favor, right? I'll save that for a different call of how to use the credit cards to your benefit. And I mean, it's good to have access to some credit. What if something happened, right? You say something happened to your car, your vehicle, it needed some kind of repair, right? If the cash if the cash coming in is all distributed and there's none left, and the credit cards are all full, right? Like in this example, there's only $400 left, but if it's a $600 repair, the cars needed to get to work, right? How do you go about doing this? Now, yeah, you can always ask somebody to borrow. I get it, but for such a small amount. But what if it's something higher? Self management, right? This is adulting. That's what we're doing. We're all just doing adulting, and part of that is managing the credit, right? And these amounts here, these are me being generous. I've had conversations with people with credit limits in the hundreds, just the hundreds of dollars. And again, treating it as it's just it's a couple $100 out. I pay it whenever I remember. However, that's because they're not looking at what the credit score is, and they're living off cash. It's cash. This is cash life, cash life, cash life. And that comes down to the things going on around you. If you have a lot of cash coming in, no problem, you can do that. If you But if you think future state and you want to do some kind of big purchase where you're going to need some financing, you're going to need some kind of credit history. And you want that credit history to be semi clean, right? You want to show your ability to manage the credit for If you ever need credit, like the first place you always want to go to is one of the banks. They're the top lenders. They're going to give you the best rates, but they're very specific on who they give money to. They look at information like this. They look at how much credit do you have, how much credit have you had, and how did you manage it, and how long have you been managing it to get to this point, right? 2 years later, let's say you got all your credit at zero, you're going to go to the bank and ask for, say, a $10,000 loan. They're more than likely going to say no because you only have 5,000 of credit established right now. And over the past 2 years, you've gotten out of what you were in. So it's a management thing that you're showing. No, they might say they might give it to you at a higher rate than normal, or they might point you somewhere else where you get approved, and they'll tell you something like, "Come back and see us in X amount of time." It all comes down to the advisor you're talking to. And if you ever go to the bank and you're talking to an advisor and you don't like what they're saying, you you have the option to speak to somebody else in that bank, in that same branch. Or you can leave, you can go to another branch. Either way, it's your choice. Just because you spoke to one person, they said this. If you feel they didn't give you all the information you need, that's not the end of the world. You can talk to somebody else, right? You can seek advice from people who give you advice, and they might tell you exactly what I'm telling you right now. Talk to somebody else. Maybe that person just doesn't have the knowledge to help you out of the situation you're in. That's what they're there for. They're there to advise you. But yeah, so simple, sweet, right? Nothing complicated. It's relatively easy to do. I mean, mind you, the more debts that you have, the more complicated that sheet can become. But it's not difficult to put it together. You can quickly summarize what's there. If you want to go into intricate detail and be more specific and put in the formulas to compound the interest and so forth against you can all of that can be built into Excel. It's not that difficult, but I just wanted to keep it super simplistic for everybody to understand that having debt is not the end of the world, right? It's not the end of the world. There's a way out of it, right? Somebody can look at that debt, feel like it's looming over their head, right? They don't know what am I going to do? How am I going to manage it? What do I do with this? Then they're going to have the people around them say maybe they're going on a trip. Well, I can't afford to go on the trip. Oh, well, just put on your credit card. I can't. My credit card's full. So, there are limitations to not having these things in order, right? Mm, FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Are you going to miss out on such a good time? Maybe, maybe not. But you don't have the opportunity to find out from something as simple as how you're managing the funds. It's not rocket science. I tell you guys this all the time. It is not rocket science, right? Manage it a little bit better, track what you're doing, understand where you are, right? Look at this, look at it constantly, review it every week, review it at least every month, understand where you are. Then there's other strategies to help you with the credit score and stuff like that, but we're not at that point yet. We're going to stick to, well, I have this debt and how do I get rid of the debt? There's ways of getting rid of the debt at the right time to help you with increasing your score. So you can compound the things you're doing at the same time to change the overall circumstance, right? Making everything better slowly. Always remember it's going to take a little time, but you can definitely get there. Don't let it bum you out. If there's nobody who's going to enlighten you or you want to chat with somebody, as shoot me a message. I'm always down to answer anybody's questions. Um, if anybody wrote any comments today, unfortunately, I don't see any. So, um, As some of you know, I've been using StreamYard, right? And I've learned how to broadcast it on IG. So today was the first test of that, and it just tells me that it's broadcasted, but I don't see any comments. So I'll have to do some other testing around that. But that should sum it all up. Over the next little while, I've got some new designs going on around here. For a lot those of you that know me know that I come from the car audio background. I like the design and build aspect of things, and just like here, I like to design and build things. So I'm building a new. So everything here, I'll just give you some background on this. So everything here is broadcasted on the big screen in front of me. So I see it all in front of me. Now I can see what I'm broadcasting, but I can't see it the way you see it. So I'm building a new uh, control unit, we'll call you, which is kind of like a tech savvy television stand, right? It'll have all the things attached to it because I'm sitting in front of the TV, and I'll have some monitors that are going to be showing me the way you see it. So I'll be able to see the live comments because I thought I would be able to through StreamYard, but I guess not. I have in the past though, but last week it wasn't working for some reason, so I was just answering people after the fact. But the new once I have it all set up, I'll definitely I'll show you guys what the setup here looks like, and see if we can start getting some people to come and sit here. Actually, what I want to do is I talked a couple weeks ago about that balance, having that balance in your life and what you do. It can't always be go 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 and work 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 and better better better. You got to have these moments of unplugging and getting away, or doing something to kind of balance you out, right? So I said I was going to come up with doing another show, which is like right off the rails of just absolute madness, right? I think there's something about Stupidity Saturdays or something like that. Some weird name we came up with. But that was just, talking about it. But decided it's better suited to do this on during the week. So I'll pick a day during the week and run something at night. But I've got a good concept going on here where I'd like to do it with a panel of people to join me. So if any of you are interested in joining me, we're able to do this so everybody's remote as well, so that you don't have to be here. But if anybody wants to come here, I have the equipment set up that you can sit here with me, and we could do it together, and still have the other people appear. But the topics for that, it will be all over the place. I have a whole list of weird things to talk about, just to get people's opinions. Right? Conversation is a great thing, right? Talk to people and really talk to them about anything. It doesn't have to be about like I mean, we talk this is a lot about finance and managing your money and lifestyle, that sort of thing. And you're just gonna see it get more and more leading towards that lifestyle and that dream that you want, right? It's dream building. That's what we're all trying to do. But what we're doing right now is all the beginning stages, right? So I might find this boring. So I'll be like, oh, I've already did this. I know. Great. You know what? There's some people that haven't gotten out of that routine of I get up every day, I go to work every day, I get paid every 2 weeks or whatever it is. X amount of money goes out. This amount of money is left. This amount of debt is still here. You guys are going and traveling and doing this and going here and doing that, and I can't do anything. But well, let's just take a breath, map it out. Let's get onto that route. I mean, y'all know I like to travel, right? And hey, I'm all for group travel, right? Bunch of people want to go, let's go, right? My traveling, I try to keep it to 5 days. 5 days is good for me. Some people like the 10 day, a lot of people do 7 day, and most people are doing it around their jobs, right? With their fixed times. I do 5 day. 5 days is good enough for me. I have a good time with 5 days, and I try to leave my job behind. Sometimes I take it with me, but in most cases, I'll leave it behind and truly unplug. Right? Be present while you're there, just like when you're here. When you're here talking to me, be present while you're with me. Right? I'm talking. I'm sharing some insights. I do hope that some of you can get some value out of it. If it can, you know, I was that person. I got out of that, right? I know what it feels like to be that person. I also know what it feels like to be this person. I also know what it feels like to know exactly where I'm going. I told you guys before that I mapped out my plan, right? I know what it is I want to do. I want to know, and now I'm in the process of getting there, right? But in the midst of doing that, I still have to do these things, you know, repetitively over and over again. This comes in, this has to go out, this has to go towards, where we want to go, right? How are you able to split that up? How, if I can shorten someone's struggle to get on this track, hey, that's what it's all about. That's literally what it's all about. People helping people, right? Knowledge here is useless if you don't take it out and transfer it to somebody else, right? A lot of people have that mentality with their jobs. Like, oh, I'm not going to teach you. I'm not going to share with you how to do something because then you could take my job. If it was really your job, there should be no risk of it, going away. Doesn't hurt to teach somebody something. And you never know. You could tell them what you're doing. That person might, in a conversation, might tell you to do what you're doing better, right? I am always open for criticism, whether it's good criticism, whether it's bad criticism. I'm always up for it. In my job, I deal with people all day long. Talk to people all the time. I have a team that reports to me. I'm constantly teaching them how to do stuff and getting the knowledge in my head out, distributing it to my team. That's my role. It's to share that information with them, right? All I'm doing is sharing information, sharing information. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. You want some clarification? Reach out, ask, come by, have a drink. Let's have a conversation. Bring a notebook, right? Have a video call. Technology, although, I'm great with the tech issues, happens all the time, but it's here. Let's utilize it. Utilize it to our advantage, right? So, with that, I know it's after 12. I will let you go for the week. It's been great. I do hope I didn't ramble on too much this time. I think I'm getting a lot better with it. There's no pen clicking, trying to do the fidgeting less, but Lazy is over here sleeping. She's quiet for once. She was not quiet before I started, but she's sleeping now. But yeah, so I will see you guys next week. Again, I appreciate all of the ideas that you shoot out. If there's something specific you want me to touch base on next week, by all means, keep sending the messages out. Look forward to talking to any of you throughout this week, and stay safe out there. Everything's opening back up. Get out there, enjoy yourself. The weather's changing. Change the circumstance. Let's start living that dream. I'll see you guys next week. Wait, wait. I'll get there. See, it's a little, gotta figure out the little things. I'll see you guys next week. There.